going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I am so excited to talk about today's video, talking about what would I do if I won the lottery. There are so many people who play the lottery every single year, but I'm not actually convinced people know what they would do if they actually won. Like, oh man, I'd quit my job and then I'd buy a Lamborghini. It's like, cool. What make, model, what kind of color, what kind of modifications? Like, give me something to work with here a little. As a disclaimer, I hate the lottery. The chances of winning are impossible, and you're way better off just saving up the money to get what you actually would want or something similar to it. Like instead of getting like a Lamborghini, maybe trying to save up for a Vader kit. There's tons of other cooler cars out there too that might not be a Lamborghini, but it's still excellent car. And it is possible. I've seen many people do this on YouTube with getting their dream cars, getting their dream houses or dream careers, whatever it is that they were really wanting to go for. Really just takes some time, consistency, and effort. Come around in no time. I do believe the best video on YouTube is by Honest Ads talking about the lottery. It's if the lottery was honest. Definitely need to check this video out because this is the best video talking about the lottery and how it actually works and what your chances of winning and all that good stuff. But the reason I had this idea for talking about the lottery and what I would do if I would win is my stepmom talked to me about 5 years ago and she's like, "Hey, you should play the lottery." And I was like, "Why? Like we've never had this conversation. You've never told me to do anything like this, and I don't think playing the lottery is actually the best idea." She proceeds to tell me that the lottery is at $1 billion right now, and it actually ended up being $1.35 billion when the person officially won. She's like, "This is the best time to play." As soon as she told me that number, I was like, "What would I buy though?" Like I've always wanted a Nissan 370Z, but top of the line Nismo version of the car is only $45,000 brand new, so I still basically would have $1 billion left over. Like, what else would I spend the money on? So, according to a couple studies done on the internet, apparently 70% of people end up going broke, and about a third of those people end up declaring bankruptcy because they just don't have a plan. They have all this money all of a sudden, and then they spend it all, and then they're like, "Oh shoot, I don't have any money anymore." If I won the $1 billion lottery, which won't actually happen because I never played the lottery to begin with, the Internal Revenue Service says that you have to, as a United States citizen, gift them anywhere between 25% to 37% of the winnings to them. And then on top of that, another 13% needs to be withheld for state and local taxes, depending on where the person lives. So all in all, you're looking at be winning about $850 million to $675 million, which is still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. However, I did want to see if there was a way to get around paying the IRS 25% to 37% of the winnings to them. And apparently, if you were to claim your status as a state national, so not a United States citizen, or you're somebody who's just never paid money to the Internal Revenue Service, you could actually get 100% of the winnings instead of paying any of that stuff. So, what's 100% of $1.35 billion? $1.35 billion. So, might be something to look into. But either way, it's a lot of money. So, since I am currently a United States citizen, we'll just go with the worst case scenario. And let's say I was to only win $675 million. What would I do with that chunk of change? I don't really know what I would buy first. However, one of the things on the list that I have would be a place to live. And I thought it'd be the coolest thing to buy an old elementary school of some sort. And there was actually one I went and visited a couple years ago. Oh yeah, it was actually 2022. I went and visited it, and I really wanted to see kind of how much it would go for, because I was hoping, hey, maybe if it sold for not a whole lot, I could get it for myself and have a school out of myself. And it sold for $1.8 million. So I wasn't anywhere close to being able to do that. But I was hoping like, oh, maybe it'll sell for like 50 grand because nobody wants an old school. Apparently somebody did. They paid quite a bit of money for it. But this is just as an example. Let's say it was this school that I was to get. What would you do with all that space? I'm glad you asked. I have broken up into several different sections on what I'd want to do with a place. And I have no idea which one I would want to do first. However, some of the stuff I'd want to keep the same. For example, the gymnasium, keep that the same. Do the library, just if there's any books in there, take them all out, put some good books in there. And then all the classrooms, I'd want to do like a different theme for each classroom. So everything in green is all the different classrooms for the building. And these are the rooms I'd want to do to customize to make them different. And the first thing I'd probably want to do is a video game room. And I wasn't sure what kind of pictures to really find to really talk about this, but what if you had a whole bunch of old Xboxes hooked up to a LAN party, have a whole bunch of old TVs to play some video games with friends. Another thing I was thinking about is like a full racing setup. I have a partial racing setup here with steering wheel, shifter, and pedals, which cost me like $500, which is the cheapest you can go for having force feedback. But did you know you can spend over $100,000 on a single one racing setup where it has the full function where you're going all over the place when you're turning and the huge screens. I'd want to have a couple of those in the room. But price wise so far, let's just say that I bought the place for the price that it went for at $1.8 million for the school. I would want to do this room to have $1 million worth of everything video game related. The TVs, the controllers, the systems, everything. I'd want to put $1 million into this room. And then on top of that, afterwards, I'd want to do a theater room. So this is big projector TV, really nice chairs. I'm not sure if I would go with theater style chairs or if you do like more of a comfortable thing where like couches everywhere or something, but that would be really fun to do. I put this price at $20,000 for a big theater room. And really, probably the first thing I'd actually want to do with this place would probably be what is in yellow here, which is also on the pavement. But I would actually want to build a shop out of all that to have a whole bunch of cars, car lifts, a whole bunch of tools to really work on cars, build cars. Some of the different cars that I'd want to build, but one of the ones I wanted to do, since I love the VQ37, VQ35 so much, be get a Nissan Altima sedan with a 3.5 liter V6, modify it somehow so it really has some power to it, but just a car that looks lame. Everybody hates because everybody hates Nissan Altima. Another car I thought would be really fun to do is like a track car would be the Honda Insight, because this thing looks like the ugliest car you could ever have. But if this thing had like 200 horsepower, it'd be the fastest car ever. It weighs half the amount of my Infiniti G37, so it'd be so much fun just to mess around with. And this is actually a very popular car on YouTube, from what I've seen, of people building it to make it go like really fast and have like 600 horsepower or something stupid. Another car I thought would be kind of fun is an Acura RSX. Love the style of these cars. Love Hondas in general. High red line and everything. One car I thought would be really fun to do, just because it's really dumb, is a minivan. And the Toyota Sienna came out with an all-wheel drive version of their car. And I thought this would be such a fun vehicle to have, put a ton of horsepower into it somehow and have like 15 people in the vehicle while you're driving it, which would make it way less fast, but just kind of fun vehicle to mess around with. Another one would be an RX-7, Mazda RX-7 FD. Love this thing. It'd be really cool to have a rotary in the shop. An Infiniti M56. This thing has the truck engine from Nissan. So their Nissan Titan engine is in their sedan. I thought this would be really fun to have, and supercharge or turbocharge or something. Range Rover, I think this is the coolest SUV you could possibly have. Same thing with the Toyota Sienna, how I think this is the most beautiful minivan, which is a really weird statement to say. The Range Rover is probably the coolest SUV that I've ever seen. Ever since I saw one in like when I was in high school, I was like, that is like the coolest thing. I really want one. So building something like this would be fun. Volvo S40, this is something people have modified it before. I remember seeing this in person. I was driving and I was like, that back end looks kind of cool. It'd be really fun to modify and do some stuff with, but this would be a fun one. And then also, why not, since we're just building a whole bunch of different cars, why not build a few different style Vader kits? Maybe one that's all-wheel drive and like 1,000 horsepower instead of the 500 horsepower one that I have. Something I've been doing recently is going to the gym. So one of the classrooms I'd want to make into is actually my own personal workout classroom and make it look just like a Planet Fitness or a local gym of some sort. And I put the price of this one for $100,000 just for all the different workout equipment. One of the rooms I'd be really excited to do as well is to do an armory room. And this has always been like the coolest dream to have, because ever since I watched the movie The Matrix and they're like, what do we need in order to make this thing happen? He's like, guns, lots of guns. And then all of a sudden these rows of just whole bunch of guns goes flying by. Another thing I'd also like to do along with the armory room, you'd actually have to have a place to use them. There's a place up in Cleveland called the Parma Armory, and they actually took an old elementary school and turned it into a firing range, a gun store, all of these different things. And I would love to have an actual firing range as one of the classrooms or something else. It's a really cool place, but obviously since they have a school and they turned it into a firing range, since I would have a school, I could also do the same thing. And then probably next to the firing range or next to the armory would also be a money vault. So if you have $675 million, what if you took out $1 million, $2 million, $10 million out of there, and you just had it sitting in a room stacked up on top of each other? So the cost for this room would just be how much money I actually have to put in there, but it would also cost quite a bit of money for reinforcing the walls, reinforcing everything. So it'd probably be quite the expense to do something like that. But I just think it'd be so cool just to walk into the room and just be like, there's a whole bunch of money here. Something else I'd want to do, which wouldn't cost very much money unless I wanted to do some crazy upgrades for it, is just keep a classroom so I could teach people how to win the lottery like I had done, because obviously it takes skill and it's not anything to do with luck. So, no, but I would want to just keep a classroom just for maybe doing some sort of learning, maybe doing some sort of Bible studies of some sort. I'd want to have an actual room for doing Bible studies, but maybe just a classroom for doing something along those lines would be fun. Probably the most expensive thing that I would spend besides spending money on taxes and the IRS would probably be giving a tithe to the local church. Something that ever since I've been a Christian, I've always believed in giving 10% towards the church for growing the church and helping out in the community with different things. I'm not sure if I would give that full $67.5 million to one specific church. I'd probably try and break it up into several different churches in the area. That would definitely be something I'd really be trying to help out in the community with, maybe doing missions trips and trying to help out. So like I mentioned before, one of the things I'd want to do is I'd want to have a little shop here in the yellow to build cars, work on cars, all that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, what's the reason you'd want to build so many different cars? And I would love to do a ton of different track days. There are so many tracks in Ohio, all over the United States. I was thinking when I was building the Vader kit that I'd want to build it as a track car. I've done different track days at Pit Race Complex. I found out very quickly that even though I have what I think of as a very quick car, it is actually very slow. Also, another option I'd want to have hiring a mechanic or two just to help out with working on all the different cars, because if I want to be making a lot of different projects, it's really going to take up a lot of time. Plus, you think about how big the building is. There's a lot of other things that would have to be done with different classrooms, designing them, building them. So I actually might have to hire like a few different people to get everything taken care of. One of the biggest issues with people winning the lottery is that everyone comes out of the woodwork wanting something from you when they find out that you've won the lottery, because you got millions of dollars. So like, oh, what's buying a $50,000 car? Or what's helping me out with my house payment or whatever. And if somebody ever needed a car, no problem, I got you. And the car I'd want to get him is a 2003 Hyundai Elantra, which is not what they want. I know when somebody asks you something, they're like, they want a brand spanking new car, new Infiniti, a new Mercedes. My favorite cars I ever had was a 2003 Hyundai Elantra. And my dad bought it off of some friends who hated the car. They thought it was just a piece of junk, the worst thing they ever had. I put an air intake and an exhaust on the car. I pretty much replaced everything on the car. And so I bought the car for $300. I put $1,200 into it, put 60,000 miles on the car. And then once I did all of that, I turned around and sold it for $1,500. It's a nice little car to get around. So if somebody actually wanted a car, I would get them a car. If I did get them this car and they took really good care of it, they actually really enjoyed it because they really did truly need a car, then probably later on down the road, I'd be like, you know what? I could get you something nicer. And again, probably not something brand new like a $50,000, $60,000 car, but definitely something nicer than a '03 Elantra. Another option to think with the school is where the master bedroom would be located. I'm not quite sure if it would be like in the middle, maybe off to one of the corners, but I had the idea of what if we did the showroom right next to the master bedroom, so that way you can actually have like a piece of glass between the master bedroom and the showroom. There's a cool hotel in Germany which they have the garage that parks right next to your room so you can see your car. But I thought it'd be really fun to do just a huge pane of glass between the master bedroom and the showroom so that way you could actually see the cars and just be like, oh yeah, by the way, this is my bedroom. Oh, and over here, this is my showroom for my cars. And of course, for the bedroom, we'd have a lot of nice dressers, a lot of nice decor of some sort. This isn't really something I've actually thought about too much because all I would do is be sleeping in there. So obviously really nice memory foam mattress of some sort, nice pillows, cool cabinets next to everything, cool lights and everything. Coolest part would definitely be having the cars right next to the bedroom, just so you can dream about your cars. So another idea I had for making one of the classrooms into is a music studio. And Reason I had this idea was because I just went to a concert this past weekend. It was in some guy's basement. And the place was super cool, but he also had a music studio right next to where the concert was happening. Looks like a really nice bar, like a really nice place that's having live music, but in reality it's just some guy's basement. So having something to have some fun with some music and mess around with, I think would be a lot of fun. Totally modifying anything, or if somebody wants to do something, open up the recording studio for them. As you can tell, I am nowhere close to spending $675 million for winning the hypothetical winning the lottery. And I don't really think that should be the goal, is spending all the money like right away. If you really think about how much it costs to run a school for a year. I mean, the heating, cooling, it could cost $1 million a year just to keep everything going with everything I have. I mean, you think about maintenance on cars, fixing up things in the school that might need fixed, or maybe even just having a new roof every once in a while. I mean, let's just say it's like $1 million a year just to keep everything going with everything that I talked about today. You're talking anywhere between 50 to $70 million that would just need to last me for until I get old. And who knows, there might even be some other projects I'd want to buy. I mean, I totally forgot. What about motorcycles, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, four-wheelers? I mean, there's so many other hobbies you could get into to spend money with. This is really just an idea of what I would get going. And really, like I said, the goal would be to try and live off of the money afterwards. So kind of being more on the conservative side might be a little smarter than trying to spend, oh, I'll just spend 600 million of it like in the first year and then try and live off of 75 million for the rest of my life. It's like, that's kind of on the wrong way to go. This is kind of just a base idea of what I'd want to do if I won the lottery. Again, I don't play the lottery, so the chance of me winning is big ol' zero. But I just thought it'd be kind of fun, just as kind of like a hypothetical thing. Like if I were to get like millions of dollars for some crazy reason, what would I actually do with all that money? Definitely stay tuned on the channel. Be coming out some more Vader videos. Z-Days is right around the corner, so the next video will be posting about Z-Days, talking about all that. We're leaving in 2.5 weeks. I'm so excited. So we'll see you guys next for talking about Z-Days, and you guys take it easy.